So as you can see, we're in my Trading 212 stocks and shares ISA. Currently there's almost £18,000 in this account. And if we take a look here, we can see that my total return is almost £10,000 and the rate of return is almost 300%. So naturally this is to do with the holdings in the portfolio. If I scroll down here, you can see a quick breakdown. Allogene Therapeutics, I'm up 140 odd percent. Immunity Bio 250%, and they make up kind of the biggest wins, if you like. You can kind of see how much I'm up on both of those, almost £4,000 at the moment on Allogene Therapeutics, 3,500 on Immunity Bio. And what I'll do is I'll go through all of these individual holdings in a bit, all of these down here as well. But first we're just going to kind of look at the assessment of what my portfolio is through this AI analysis functionality on Trading 212, where it's going to just give us a definition, if you like, of what the portfolio is. So it says here it's a growth-orientated portfolio with high volatility driven by concentrated biotech stocks, notably Immunity Bio and Allogene Therapeutics. Recent gains include Immunity Bio at 251%. Biotech stocks exhibit significant swings, reflecting aggressive growth and risk. And so what they're kind of saying here, essentially, as we can see from the portfolio, this is a highly concentrated portfolio, and there's a very particular reason for that, which I kind of document on the channel. I do a lot of cross-examination of biotech stocks and research, and I share all of that research on the channel, and essentially that's why I can get these kinds of results, which you see here with Allogene Therapeutics and Immunity Bio. Even when we look at Co-Crystal Pharmaceuticals, I'm up 40%. And so one of the particular reasons I can get success or results of this nature is around the research that I do, but also when I decide to enter into these stocks. One of the strategies that I try and employ is that I'm looking for high quality biotech stocks with great leadership. Great leadership is one of the critical things that I'm looking for when I'm investing in these kinds of stocks. But then I'm also looking to invest in these stocks at a depressed time, at a time of pessimism, if you like, at a time of distress, when these companies are distressed. So I'm looking pretty much for two things. I'm looking for high quality leadership, people with proven pedigree. Like I say, I've documented this on my channel and I go into a lot more detail, but then I'm looking at points of depression, or pessimism. One of the opportunities with biotech stocks, like Allogene Therapeutics, like Immunity Bio, like Humacyte, which we can see is down significantly right now, and even Co-Crystal and Precigen, is that biotech stocks are notoriously volatile. It means that they can take huge swings. In some cases with these stocks, I've been down 40%. With Allogene Therapeutics, for example, I invested in that stock when a patient died during one of their trials, but it wasn't as a direct result of the treatment that was administered. It was some kind of additional thing. And through that, I was looking at that piece of information, but then I was looking at the wider team, the wider leadership, and that gave me the conviction to make entries when other people were essentially shitting on the stock, if you like. And so Nubank Holdings is kind of outside of that repertoire. It's not a biotech stock, it's a fintech stock. Again, I really like this stock simply because they're addressing key problems in Latin America at the moment around banking. Their main competition in Latin America is bricks and mortar banks, and the key competitive advantage that they have is that they can undercut them on rates simply because they don't have the costs of maintaining buildings. They're a fully digital bank. They've got a really good marketing and branding strategy, which is kind of bringing finance into the contemporary as well. And they've captured a huge market share in Latin America, in Brazil, in Colombia. They're only up 12%, which, if we look at them over the last 3 months, they've gone down a fair amount. And the reason that they've gone down is because they are now looking to try and enter into the US market. They've experienced huge growth, great revenue results recently, but the concern comes that this attempt to penetrate the US market is going to be incredibly competitive, it's going to be incredibly costly, and it's why we've seen the share price decline from over around $18, which we can see right here, all the way down to $14 right now. Will I be making future entries? It's quite possible. I'm just waiting for the right price. One of the things you'll find with me is that I find that I'm trying to find value. I'm trying to find value in the stock, and it can be very hard to find value in the stock market. And so Humacyte, again, is a stock that I've been documenting on the channel. I've made numerous entries in different accounts, but essentially, you know, Humacyte, like I was saying, it's down 14%. I was buying it at $1. I've been buying it at 97 cents, all the way down to 60 cents. There's a major stock price catalyst coming up, which could see the share price double, triple, or more, you know, but that very much depends on execution. With biotech stocks in particular, they can take massive swings, incredibly volatile, but volatility can be your friend if you know how to work with it, if you like. Again, Precigen is a stock, you can see it's trading at $4 at the moment. You know, I was documenting this at $1, thereabouts, under $1, over $1. Again, this is a company that I'd invested in at $1 or a little bit over $1, and it had gone all the way down to 67 cents and I bought more. And then naturally, as you can see right here, I've got this FTSE All World Index fund. I was DCAing into this, I was cost averaging into this for a while, then I just stopped because I just found it a little bit boring. And you know, as you can see, I have this strategy that I've developed where I can get significantly better returns from investing directly and in particular in biotech stocks. And then down the bottom here, I've got a bit of Palantir. I bought some at $10, which I sold, and then I came back into it about, what is it, $73 right here. And I've just been holding this again. I think it's a little bit expensive right now. There's a lot of hype with the company. You know, obviously the technology is well documented that is game changing. And so the other thing I'm just going to show you is this biotech watch list. It's not necessarily companies that I'm looking to make entries in. I mean, some of them are, but others are more just for data points. You know, some of them are biotech stocks that I just wouldn't touch, but I'm just tracking the stocks and the prices so that I can kind of, it's just for my own information, just so that I can gather intelligence and a better understanding of the biotech space, if you like. You know, we've got a couple here that are in quite difficult situations at the moment. Clearside Biomedical is one of them. Sangamo Therapeutics is another. But it's also just for me to gain and develop, like I said, like a better understanding of biotech stocks. You know, what happens when they're in severe distress. You know, they may have intellectual property, they may have really good assets, which is the case with Sangamo Therapeutics. But for other reasons, you know, they're trading at 27 cents. And at risk of delisting from the NASDAQ, and there are certain consequences of that, which I won't go into in this video. And then there are others here that I like, but it's just not the right price point. AC Immune is a company I like, the price point is wrong. Heidelberg Pharma is another, as is Prime Medicine. And so naturally, I'll keep you updated on this. I'm building out the portfolio. Things may change, and that's why I'm gonna just make periodic updates, maybe every month, just to see what I'm doing, where I'm putting my money, where I'm taking it out as well, and where I'm reallocating it. And then just keep an eye out for my other videos, because the next video on this theme will be the one with my interactive brokers account. There's significantly more money in there. I will talk through like the strategies that I've employed in that highly concentrated portfolio. You know, I kind of go against the grade where most people say that you should be diversified. You know, I've developed this kind of strategy which I share on the channel around the biotech space where I get relatively decent results, which you can see. But look, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.